For BCBAs who are listening and thinking, I love to get involved with this kind of work that Lindsay's doing, where should they start?
I get this question a lot at conferences if I present on something where people will come up after and say, oh, my dad's a police officer. I'd be really great at this. How do I get involved? And one of the first things that I always tell BCBAs to do is really to start immersing themselves as much as they can into police culture. You have to be familiar with the lingo. It's helpful when you go into a training with a department and you're actually familiar with their stats. How many people are living in that town? What are their most common interactions with autism? What questions do they have? So I spent a lot of time listening to police podcasts. I read this one book I highly recommend everybody read, even if you're not into police training. It's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And he is an FBI negotiator. But it's really just about how to talk to people and his de-escalation strategies. I was thinking I could build some of these into my behavior plans. And he gave some really great tips on that. I also would recommend a lot of departments have citizens police academies. And I went through one a couple of years ago when I first moved to Georgia. And what they do is, it's once a week. You go to the department and every week they talk about a different topic. So one week it's canines, right? One week it's how do you analyze blood splatter? One week it's how does our traffic system work? One week it's a 911 sit-in. And so you're just kind of learning about your community and building relationships with the officers there. Another thing to consider is departments are more likely to hire you if your course is post-credentialed. So that's kind of their version of a CEU. Many departments will do it out of the goodness of their heart, but most departments would love to get training hours for it. And you can't get training hours if you don't have your course approved. Georgia Post was fantastic. They approved mine quickly with no issues. Consider trading training for training. So I spent a lot of time saying, hey guys, I'll come and train your department if I can sit in on your standardized sobriety testing. Because I was hearing from police officers that, how do I tell the difference between someone who's under the influence and someone who's stimming? And so I said, well, I want to go in and see what they're training you on. And so at the beginning of doing this, I traded a lot of training for ride-alongs and training for more training just so I could educate myself more. Those are some of the things I would start with if I were considering this.